High Commander Trill stood at the observation deck of the Galactic Council's primary defense station, his 4 eyes fixed on the distant stars. As the leader of the Council's defense force, he had seen many things in his 300 cycles of service, but nothing had prepared him for what the long-range sensors had detected 3 days ago. A fleet of unknown ships was approaching from the edges of known space, from a sector that had been marked as uninhabitable due to its harsh conditions. The ships were massive, built with materials that seemed impossible to manufacture in normal gravity conditions. Most disturbing of all, they showed signs of weapons technology that surpassed anything in the Council's arsenal. High Commander, his second-in-command, Officer Reed, approached with a data pad clutched in her delicate hands. Her crystalline skin flickered with patterns of anxiety. The analysis of their communication signals is complete. Trill's upper eyes blinked in acknowledgement while his lower pair remained fixed on the star field. What have we learned? They call themselves humans, sir. They originate from a planet called Earth, classified as a Category 12 Deathworld in our old surveys. The gravity there is 2.3 times our standard. The temperature variations are extreme, and the atmosphere contains corrosive oxygen at levels that should be impossible for life to endure. Trill's membrane-like ears flattened against his head. Impossible. No sentient species could evolve in such conditions. The data is verified, sir. What's more? Reed hesitated, her crystalline surface clouding with fear. They've been watching us. 4 decades. They intercepted our communications, learned our languages, studied our technology. They chose this moment to reveal themselves. The implications sent a chill through Trill's exoskeleton. While the Council races had been exploring space, cataloging gentle worlds and establishing trade routes, these humans had been silently observing, preparing, and building their fleet in secret. Their message, Officer Reed. What do they want? Reed's voice trembled slightly. They request a formal meeting with the Council. They say they come in peace, but... She paused, her surface rippling with uncertainty. They also made it clear that they expect to be treated as equals, not as primitives from an uninhabitable world. Trill finally turned away from the viewport, all 4 eyes focusing on the data pad. The images showed the human ships in detail, massive vessels of dark metal, bristling with what appeared to be both weapons and scientific equipment. They were beautiful in their terrible efficiency, like predators evolved to perfection. Have you noticed the most disturbing aspect, Officer Reed? Trill asked quietly. Sir. Look at their ship designs. The weapon placements, the shield configurations. He pointed with one of his upper limbs. They're defensive. These are not invasion vessels. They're exploration ships, merely built to survive combat if necessary. Which means what, sir? Which means these are not their warships. These are their peaceful vessels. Trill's external membrane paled slightly. If these are what they send for peaceful contact, imagine what their actual military vessels must be like. The silence that followed was heavy with understanding. The galaxy had just become a much more complicated place. Prepare the Council chamber, Trill ordered finally. And inform all member races. They need to know that everything is about to change. The age of peaceful expansion is over. We must either adapt to the existence of these humans, or... He left the alternative unspoken. As Reed hurried away, Trill returned his gaze to the stars. Out there, approaching at subliminal speeds, was a fleet of ships built by creatures who had evolved on a world that should have been impossible to inhabit. Creatures who had watched, learned, and chosen their moment to emerge with careful precision. The humans were coming, and with them came the end of the galaxy as the Council knew it. Trill could only hope that their claim of peaceful intentions was genuine, because if it wasn't, he suspected that the combined might of the entire Galactic Council would be insufficient to stop them. He had 3 days to prepare for their arrival. 3 days to ready the council for a meeting that would reshape the political landscape of known space. 3 days to accept that everything they thought they knew about the limitations of life and evolution had been wrong. The Deathworlders were coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Grand Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 27 spacefaring species filled the circular room with a cacophony of sounds, from the high-pitched whistles of the gas-dwelling mist singers to the deep vibrations of the silicon-based rock shapers. High Commander Trill stood at the center, his patience wearing thin. Order! His voice, amplified by the chamber's acoustics, cut through the noise. We have less than 2 days before the human fleet arrives. We cannot waste time arguing about ancient protocols. The blue speaker, representative of the oldest council race, rose from his floating platform. His bioluminescent patches pulsed with agitation. These protocols have kept peace in the galaxy for 10,000 cycles. We cannot simply ignore them because these Deathworlders demand immediate attention. With respect, Speaker, Officer Reed interjected from her position beside Trill, the humans aren't demanding anything unreasonable. They're requesting diplomatic recognition and open dialogue. While approaching with ships that could tear through our defensive line like tissue, rumbled the rock shaper elder, his crystalline form grinding with stress fractures. This is not diplomacy. This is intimidation. Trill raised all 4 of his arms, demanding silence. I've spent the last day reviewing all the data we have on Earth. What I've found should concern us all. He activated the central holographic display, showing a planet that looked deceptively peaceful with its swirling white clouds and blue oceans. This is their homeworld. Not only do they survive in its crushing gravity and oxygen-rich atmosphere, but they thrive there. Their bodies can repair broken bones. They can survive the loss of entire limbs. Their skin heals itself. They can run for hours without rest, and their endurance in extreme conditions exceeds anything we thought possible. The chamber fell silent as images of human athletic achievements played in the hologram. Beings running through scorching deserts, swimming in freezing waters, climbing mountains in air too thin for most species to survive. But that's not what truly makes them dangerous, Trill continued. This is. The hologram shifted to show human history. Wars, peace treaties, technological advancement, art, music, literature, all developing at a pace that seemed impossible. In less than 300 cycles, they went from primitive combustion engines to faster-than-light travel. They survived multiple global conflicts, unified their planet, and developed technology that rivals or exceeds our own. And they did it all while we thought their world was too hostile for intelligent life to evolve. The Trade Master, a spindly being with compound eyes, clicked nervously. How did we miss them for so long? Because we weren't looking, Reed answered. We classified their sector as uninhabitable and never bothered to check thoroughly. Meanwhile, they detected our communications, learned about us, and chose their moment to reveal themselves. The question now, Trill said, is not whether we should meet with them, but how we can ensure a peaceful integration into the galactic community. The blue speaker's bioluminescence darkened. And if they have hostile intentions? Then refusing to meet them won't help us, Trill replied grimly. But everything in their messages and behavior suggests they genuinely want peaceful contact. They could have attacked without warning. Instead, they're following diplomatic protocols they learned from our own communications. A small, green-furred representative whom Trill recognized as a historian spoke up. There's another aspect we should consider. Look at their entertainment broadcasts. The hologram shifted again, showing human stories, movies, and games. Countless tales of first contact, of humans meeting aliens. They've been imagining this moment for generations, the historian continued. They have countless stories about peaceful first contact, about joining a galactic community. Yes, they have tales of war too, but overwhelmingly, their fiction shows them hoping to find friends among the stars. Trill nodded. Which is why I propose we meet them with open arms. Show them that their hopes weren't misplaced. Because if we treat them as enemies, we risk turning their greatest dreams into their worst nightmares, and ours. The council chamber erupted in discussion again, but this time it was more measured, more thoughtful. Trill could see the representatives wrestling with their fears and prejudices, trying to imagine a future where their peaceful coalition included beings from a death world. "We need to vote," the blue speaker announced finally. "All in favor of accepting the humans' request for diplomatic contact, raise your signal." One by one, lights began to appear above the representatives. Some quickly, some hesitantly, but in the end, the decision was nearly unanimous. Trill felt his membrane relax slightly. It was just the first step, but it was a crucial one. "Officer Reed, prepare the diplomatic reception bay. And contact the human fleet. Tell them." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Tell them the Galactic Council welcomes their arrival and looks forward to beginning a new chapter in galactic history." As the council members filed out, many still discussing the implications of their decision, Trill remained in the chamber, watching the holographic image of Earth slowly rotate. "Do you really believe they come in peace?" Reed asked quietly. "I believe they come hoping for peace," Trill replied. "Whether they find it will depend as much on us as on them. We've just voted to change everything, Reed. The galaxy will never be the same, and maybe that's exactly what we need." The image of Earth continued to spin, its blue oceans and white clouds hiding the incredible forces that had forged humanity into what they were. In less than 48 hours, the Deathworlders would arrive, and the real challenge would begin. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel exactly when they said they would, materializing at the precise coordinates provided by the Council. High Commander Trill watched from the diplomatic reception station as 5 massive ships emerged from the void, their dark hulls gleaming under the light of nearby stars. "Remarkable precision," Officer Reed noted, her crystalline form reflecting the ship's images. "They could have appeared anywhere within 1,000 kilometers of the designated point, but they're less than 10 meters off target." Trill's 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the vessels. Up close, they were even more impressive than the long-range scans had suggested. The lead ship alone was nearly twice the size of the Council's largest vessel, yet it moved with the grace of something much smaller. "They're hailing us," the communication officer announced, his tentacles waving with nervous energy. On screen, Trill ordered, straightening his posture. The main display flickered to life, and for the first time, the Council representatives saw a human face. The being looking back at them had 2 eyes, just 2, skin that seemed impossibly tough yet flexible, and a covering of short dark fur on the top of its head. It wore what appeared to be a formal uniform in dark blue with silver markings. "Greetings, High Commander Trill and representatives of the Galactic Council," the human said in perfect standard trade language. "I am Fleet Commander Adams of the Earth Exploration Force. We come seeking peaceful dialogue and mutual understanding." Trill noticed how every member of his staff seemed to lean slightly away from the screen. Even through a video feed, there was something inherently intimidating about the human's presence. Perhaps it was the intensity of those 2 eyes, or the way they moved with barely contained strength. "Welcome, Fleet Commander Adams," Trill replied, keeping his voice steady. "The Council is honored by your arrival. We have prepared docking facilities for your ships and accommodation suitable for your unique physiological needs." Adams smiled, a gesture that displayed rows of white, bone-like structures in their mouth. Several council members flinched, but Trill had studied enough human data to know this was meant as a friendly expression. "We appreciate your thoroughness, High Commander. However, we should warn you, our internal scans show that your station's artificial gravity is set to standard council levels. This would be approximately 0.43 of what we're used to on Earth." Trill's membrane rippled with concern. "We can adjust the gravity in your designated areas." "No need," Adams interrupted politely. We've trained for low-gravity environments. We'll adapt. We wouldn't want to strain your station's systems or make things uncomfortable for your people. The casual way the human dismissed what should have been a significant physiological challenge sent murmurs through the observation deck. These beings were willing to function in an environment that essentially made them bounce with every step, just to avoid inconveniencing their hosts. As the human ships began their docking procedures, Trill received urgent messages from various department heads. The medical team was worried about the humans' oxygen requirements. Security was concerned about their physical strength in lower gravity. The environmental controllers were calculating the strain on life support systems. "Sir," Reed whispered, "the human ships, they're not using our docking guidance systems." Trill watched in amazement as the massive vessels maneuvered with impossible precision, using their own systems to align perfectly with the station's docking ports. It was like watching master artists at work, except these artists were handling city-sized ships as if they were small pleasure craft. "Their neural response times must be incredible," the station's chief engineer commented. "To manage that level of control." The docking procedure completed with a gentle thud that was barely noticeable. Moments later, Adam spoke again. "Docking complete. With your permission, High Commander, we'd like to send over a preliminary delegation of 5 representatives. We can provide their medical data and any other information you require." Trill exchanged glances with the council members present on the observation deck. This was the moment of truth. Soon, they would be face to face with beings who could probably tear through the station's walls with their bare hands if they wanted to. "We would be honored to receive your delegation, Fleet Commander. Our diplomatic reception area is ready." "Excellent. Oh, and High Commander." Adam's expression became slightly apologetic. "We hope you'll forgive us if we seem a bit excited. You see, this is something our species has dreamed about for centuries, making first contact, joining a galactic community. Some of our people might be a bit enthusiastic." The idea of enthusiastic Deathworlders should have been terrifying, but something in Adam's tone, a genuine warmth and hope, made Trill relax slightly. "We understand, Commander. Dreams of meeting new friends among the stars are not unique to humanity." Adam's smile returned, wider this time. "That's very good to hear, High Commander. Very good indeed. We'll prepare our delegation." Adam's out. As the screen went dark, Trill turned to his staff. "Well, that's done. Now comes the real challenge. Officer Reed, make sure all security personnel understand, no sudden movements, no aggressive postures, and above all, no displays of fear. These humans have gone to great lengths to appear non-threatening. We must show them the same courtesy." "What about the welcoming ceremony?" one of the council members asked. "Should we modify the traditional protocols?" Trill shook his head. "No. They've studied us, learned our languages, and adapted to our gravity. The least we can do is treat them with the full dignity of our traditional welcome." He paused, then added, "Though perhaps we should warn them about the ritual chimes. Their hearing might be more sensitive than ours." As the station staff hurried to make final preparations, Trill watched the docked human ships through the observation window. They hung there like sleeping giants, their dark hulls reflecting the starlight. In a few minutes, their airlocks would open, and for the first time in known history, Deathworlders would walk among them. The galaxy was about to change forever, and Trill had a feeling it would be for the better. These humans, despite their frightening capabilities, seemed to genuinely want friendship. Perhaps that was the most surprising thing of all, that beings evolved in such a harsh world could emerge with dreams of peace and unity. "High Commander," Reed called from the doorway. "They're ready to begin disembarking." Trill straightened his ceremonial garments. "Then let's go make history." The airlock cycled with a soft hiss. High Commander Trill stood at the head of the welcoming party, flanked by council representatives and security personnel who were trying their best not to look nervous. The inner door began to open, and everyone held their breath. Fleet Commander Adams was the first to step through, moving with careful grace in the lower gravity. Even in person, the human appeared both impressive and strange, taller than most council species, with a sturdy build that spoke of their high-gravity origins. 4 other humans followed, each wearing similar dark blue uniforms with silver insignias. "High Commander Trill," Adams said, executing a perfect council formal greeting gesture with unexpectedly fluid movements. "Thank you for your welcome. May I present our diplomatic team?" Trill noticed how the humans were deliberately taking slow, measured steps, clearly trying not to startle anyone with sudden movements. Their control was remarkable. In the station's lower gravity, they could have easily bounded across the room in a single leap. "Of course, Commander Adams. Please, introduce your people." Adams gestured to each member of the team in turn. "Our chief diplomat, Dr. Bell. Our science officer, Professor White. Our cultural expert, Dr. Green. And our medical officer, Dr. Brown." Trill's upper eyes blinked in surprise while his lower pair studied the humans carefully. "You brought medical personnel?" Dr. Brown stepped forward slightly, moving with the same controlled care as the others. "We thought it prudent, High Commander. We know our biology is quite different from Council species. I'm here to both provide care for our team if needed and to share medical data with your doctors. We believe understanding each other's physiology is crucial for peaceful cooperation." The thoughtfulness of this gesture wasn't lost on Trill or the other council members. These supposedly dangerous Deathworlders had considered not just diplomatic and scientific concerns, but the medical implications of their presence. "Most wise," the blue speaker commented from his floating platform. "Though I admit, seeing you in person is quite different from viewing recordings. We understand we may appear intimidating," Dr. Bell said, her voice gentle despite her powerful frame. "On our world, we're actually considered quite average in size and strength. We've learned that what's normal for us can be concerning for others." As if to demonstrate their awareness of this, all 5 humans maintained a careful distance from the council representatives, their postures open and non-threatening. Yet there was no mistaking the barely contained power in their movements, the way their muscles shifted under their uniforms with each careful step. "Please, follow me to the diplomatic chamber," Trill said, gesturing toward the corridor. "We have much to discuss." As they walked, Trill noticed how the humans took in everything with keen interest. Their eyes, so strange with their single pair and round pupils, missed nothing. They noted the architecture, the other species they passed, the artificial gravity's effects on their movements. Everything seemed to fascinate them. In the diplomatic chamber, designed to accommodate various species comfortably, the humans chose seats that put them slightly lower than the council representatives, another subtle gesture that didn't go unnoticed. "Before we begin formal discussions," Adam said, "we have a gift for the council." "Professor White?" The science officer removed a small device from a case and placed it on the central table. With a touch, it projected a hologram of the Milky Way galaxy, but unlike any version Trill had seen before. "This is a complete stellar map of known space," White explained, combining both our data and what we've learned from monitoring council communications. "We've identified several spatial anomalies that your ships have been avoiding without knowing why. We believe we can help establish safer trade routes through these regions." The council representatives leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the detailed map. The rock shaper elder's crystalline form vibrated with excitement. "This is remarkable. But how did you gather this data?" "We evolved on a death world," White said simply. "To survive, we had to become very good at understanding dangerous environments. When we reached space, we applied the same principles. Where others see impassable barriers, we often find opportunities. Which brings us to one of our main proposals," Adams continued. We would like to offer our services as explorers and problem solvers. There are many regions of space the Council has deemed too dangerous to explore. We're uniquely suited to investigate these areas safely. The Trade Master's compound eyes flickered rapidly. You would risk your people in such dangerous regions? For the Council? For knowledge, Dr. Green corrected gently. And for cooperation. We don't see it as risk, we see it as opportunity. Our ships and our people are built to handle extreme conditions. Why not use that capability to benefit everyone? Trill watched as the Council representatives exchanged glances. The humans were offering solutions to problems that had plagued the Council for generations, and they were doing it not from a position of superiority, but as potential partners. There is another matter, Dr. Bell said, her tone becoming more serious. In studying your communications, we've noticed patterns that concern us. There are regions of space you avoid not just because of natural phenomena, but because of other threats. The chamber grew quiet. Everyone knew what she meant: the mysterious attacks on outer colonies, the disappeared ships, the dark zones where no Council vessel dared to travel. We would like to help with those problems too, Adam said quietly. Not as conquerors or warriors, but as protectors. Sometimes, the best way to maintain peace is to be prepared for those who don't want it. The implications hung in the air. The humans were offering not just their knowledge and exploration capabilities, but their strength, the very thing that had initially made the Council fear them. This is quite overwhelming, the blue speaker admitted. You offer much, asking only for acceptance in return? We ask for partnership, Adams corrected. Equal partnership. We have much to learn from you: art, culture, philosophy, the delicate diplomacy that has kept peace among so many species. We offer our strengths to complement yours. Trill felt something shift in the room's atmosphere. The initial fear of the humans' physical presence was being replaced by something else: hope. These Deathworlders, these powerful beings who could have demanded anything they wanted, were instead offering to serve as guardians and explorers. I believe, Trill said, speaking for the first time since entering the chamber, that we should continue these discussions over a meal. We have prepared sustenance suitable for your biology, if you would honor us by sharing our table? Adam smiled, that strange expression that was becoming less frightening with each occurrence. We would be delighted, High Commander. On Earth, sharing food is often the first step to lasting friendship. As the meeting adjourned and preparations for the diplomatic dinner began, Trill realized that the galaxy hadn't just changed, it had changed for the better. The Deathworlders had arrived not as conquerors or monsters, but as guardians, explorers, and friends. The real work was just beginning. The diplomatic dinner was unlike anything the Council station had ever hosted. High Commander Trill watched with fascination as the human delegation interacted with representatives from across the galaxy. What had started as a tense formal meal had evolved into something far more meaningful. Commander Adam sat with a group of mist singers, listening intently as they described their musical language. Dr. Bell was deep in conversation with the rock shapers, discussing the engineering challenges of crystal-based architecture. Professor White had drawn a crowd of scientists from various species, all eagerly examining the detailed stellar maps the humans had brought. Remarkable, isn't it? Officer Reed said, approaching Trill's observation point. Just 3 days ago, we were preparing for possible conflict. Now look at them. Trill's 4 eyes took in the scene. The most striking thing wasn't just how well the humans were adapting to the different species, it was how quickly the other species were adapting to them. The initial fear of their physical presence had been replaced by genuine curiosity and respect. Commander Adams called out the Trade Master from across the room. You mentioned exploration of dangerous regions. How would such operations work? Adam set down a drinking vessel specially designed for human use. We envision joint missions. Human ships would take the lead in hazardous areas, but with mixed crews including council species. Your knowledge combined with our natural resilience would make for excellent exploration teams. And what of the dark zones? Asked a security chief, referring to the mysterious regions where ships had vanished. Would you venture there as well? With proper preparation and council approval, yes, Adams replied. Our ships are built to handle extreme conditions, and our people are trained for high-risk situations. But we would proceed carefully, gathering data before taking any unnecessary risks. Dr. Brown, the human medical officer, joined the conversation. We've already begun analyzing the physiological advantages that might help us in these regions. Our enhanced bone density, redundant organ systems, and adaptive immune responses could be crucial in understanding environments that other species find hostile. The blue speaker's bioluminescence pulsed with interest. You speak of your natural advantages without pride or arrogance. This is unexpected. They're not advantages, Dr. Green corrected gently. They're adaptations. Every species here evolved to perfectly suit their homeworld. We simply had a more challenging environment to adapt to. Each of you has capabilities we lack, your ability to process complex gases, she nodded to the mist singers, your crystal-based computing, to the rock shapers, your natural ability to perceive quantum states, to another species. We're not better, just different. Trill noticed how this simple statement seemed to resonate with everyone present. The humans weren't presenting themselves as superior beings, but as partners who could fill a unique role in the galactic community. There is one matter we should address, Adam said, standing to draw attention. We know some of you have been wondering about our military capabilities. A hush fell over the room. Yes, we have powerful weapons. Yes, our ships are built to withstand incredible stress. But we propose using these capabilities to protect trade routes, escort science missions, and defend against any threats to galactic peace. You would serve as guardians? The security chief asked. We would serve as partners in maintaining peace, Adams corrected. Our ships alongside yours, our strength added to yours, our knowledge combined with yours. We don't seek to dominate, we seek to contribute. Professor White activated the stellar map again, but this time it showed something new: proposed joint mission routes, potential research stations, and collaborative defense networks. This is our vision, White explained. A galaxy where Deathworlder resilience helps make space safer for everyone. Where our unique capabilities serve the common good. Where difference becomes strength. The rock shaper elder's crystalline form sparkled with excitement. The potential for scientific advancement alone is staggering. Combined research projects, shared knowledge. And think of the cultural exchange, Dr. Green added. We've already learned so much just from studying your transmissions. The art, music, philosophy of 1,000 worlds. Trill stepped forward, sensing the moment was right. I believe we should make it official. A formal proposal to the full council, full membership status for Earth, with special designation as exploration and security partners. The blue speaker's bioluminescence brightened. I second this proposal. The humans have shown wisdom, restraint, and genuine desire for peaceful cooperation. They have proven themselves worthy of trust. Commander Adams bowed slightly. We are honored by your trust. And we have one more gift to offer. She nodded to Dr. Bell, who activated a different hologram. These are designs for gravity adaptation systems, Bell explained. They would allow Council species to visit Earth safely, just as we can visit your worlds. We want this partnership to go both ways. The room erupted in excited discussion. The idea of being able to visit the legendary Deathworld safely opened up countless possibilities for cultural and scientific exchange. High Commander Trill raised his voice over the excited chatter. Then let it be recorded. 3 days ago, when we detected the Deathworlder Fleet, we feared everything would change. We were right, everything has changed, but for the better. The galaxy has not just gained powerful allies, it has gained friends. To friendship, Adam said, raising her drink in a gesture the humans called a toast. And to a future where the stars themselves are no longer barriers but bridges. The various species raised their drinks in their own ways, some with appendages, some with telekinesis, some through other means. But the sentiment was universal. As the celebration continued, Trill found himself thinking about how quickly fear could turn to hope when met with wisdom and genuine goodwill. The Deathworlders had arrived with overwhelming power, yet they had chosen to use that power not for dominance, but for protection and progress. The galaxy would indeed never be the same. The arrival of the human fleet had marked the beginning of a new era, one where the combined strengths of all species, including those from the harshest worlds, would forge a brighter future for everyone. Outside the station's windows, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if they too were celebrating the dawn of this new age. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they had brought with them not the end of peace, but the promise of something even greater, a peace protected by strength, enriched by diversity, and built on mutual respect and understanding. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed.